there, Mama. I'm Courtney Cecil, proud mom of two boys and an organizational culture and behavior change executive. And I'm a believer in building a movement to help the burned out, overwhelmed working moms reclaim their control and free time so they can confidently remain in the workforce without losing their sanity or themselves. Now, let's get started. Hey, y'all. I'm your host, Courtney Cecil, and welcome back to the Life Management System for Working Moms. And happy 1 year anniversary to this podcast. I'm so excited. I am so grateful to each of you for tuning in and making sure that I am not talking to myself this entire time. I'm actually about to hit my 10,000th download, which, while I'm never going to be satisfied, it never feels like enough. I know that I need to just reflect and be proud on that. And I know that it's just not that bad either, considering I'm only 46 episodes in. So thank you to everyone who is tuning in, has tuned in, has shared this, has promoted. I'm just so grateful for y'all to be on this journey with me. Okay, so this episode is part 2 of 3, focused on helping you as parents get prepared and reset for the rest of the school year. So inside this snack-sized episode, we're going to focus specifically on resetting your personal calendar. And part of that, like part of why I've structured this whole series the way it is because I know that a lot of businesses and a lot of other non-parents of young kids treat the calendar year as their personal reset. But for parents, we all know everything revolves around the school year, and that is really our time to reset. So before I get into some of those like very tactical things to reflect on in your calendar, I want to call a timeout and re-ground on a concept that if you have been here long enough, you have heard me talk about. And that is the root of everything that should drive your decision making and how you spend your time. And that's what you value. And what I mean by that, to recap for you again, and you will hear this many, many, many other times if you ever follow and engage with me. What you value influences what you prioritize, and what you prioritize influences how you spend your time. Your time, your money, and your energy, like it is all three of those, all should tie back to your values. So as an example, one of my clients very much values her family and most specifically her immediate family. And when we talk about how that shows up for her and the actual priorities that she wants to set, one of those things is family dinner. So protecting family dinner on a weeknight is something that we then would rearrange everything else in her calendar around in order to honor that priority. So that is kind of how that thread gets pulled from values to priorities to your resource expenditure. So if you can just apply that thinking as I talk through some of these questions. So the first thing I want to do is just zoom out a little bit and talk about a general audit of a calendar and what that might look or sound like. So for every reoccurring activity that you have, I want you to ask yourself a couple questions. One, does this align with what matters most to me right now? And that's different. Like, that right now is really important because just because something worked for you multiple years ago based on your kid's age or based on your priorities and career at that point doesn't mean it serves you now. The second question is this energizing or draining me? And the last is, would anything bad happen if I didn't do this again? So answer those 3 questions for every recurring activity. And then for everything that you're questioning, whether or not it is actually something that should continue, challenge whether or not you still need to be doing it, whether you can just scale back and do less of it, or maybe you completely rethink how it's done. And I have a couple podcast episodes on this around delegating, automating, and setting and protecting boundaries. So the boundaries episodes are 4 and 5. I will link those in the show notes. And I have an outsourcing episode, which is number 28. I will link that in the show notes. I have another delegation episode that is escaping me now. I will make sure that I include that as well. But the point being, like, I have other resources to help you rethink how you get things done if you need that kind of help. So I'm going to talk you through now a number of rhetorical questions for you to reflect on. And these questions are categorized into 3 major buckets. The first is your kids' activities, because let's be honest, we tend to be taxi drivers more than anything at this stage in life. The second is how you manage your home. And the third bucket and category are just general social obligations. So let's start with a kids' activity. So, regarding the kids' activities, reflect on which of their extracurriculars might be causing you stress. So, that could mean there are multiple practices a week, or the weekend tournaments are just consuming everything because they're so long, they're taking you on the road, that sort of thing. Your kids' activities ultimately should be something that you match their energy in. So, as an example, I'll be freaking darn if Wyatt, my youngest, didn't walk in the door just yesterday and I told him that his club soccer starts next Tuesday and it'll be every Tuesday and Thursday. And he's like, oh man. And I was like, why? I thought you'd be excited. You wanted to play. And he said, yeah, but not 2 days a week. I'm like, buddy, that was what club soccer meant. We talked about that obligation in the beginning. I promise you, I don't want to go 2 days a week. That's not fun for me. I'm doing that and making that sacrifice for you. So if it's not something you want to do, then after this year, unfortunately, it is like a year sentence that we are subjected to. But after this year, we can gladly go back to Charlotte Junior Soccer. We don't keep having to do club. So that is an example of like how your energy and enthusiasm regarding something should match your kids. There's no reason that you pushing against the friction of them wanting to do something should be why you do it. Like save yourself. Okay, the next is question, whether they're doing too much. If they're doing something, if they're doing more than just one activity, is it sustainable for you? Do you have the capacity to do that from a work perspective? Do you think that your energy and their energy can sustain that level of intensity and that sort of thing? We have a one activity a season rule, and that is because that feels balanced to us. Now, I don't love how quickly my boys have kind of picked a major. For lack of a better term, Wyatt has chosen soccer, Witten has chosen flag football, and they're not terribly interested in doing much else. And to me, I was a six sport varsity athlete in addition to doing softball over summer. So I love the diversity that I was exposed to and my ability to get to do a lot and see what I was really good at and what I wasn't. I feel like they're a little young to be doubling down on it. And it's something that I know that a lot of parents end up doing because that's what it takes to be competitive now. But personally don't love it, but that's kind of where we are because of their own interest. But I do know that no matter what, if it was like they're both doing the one sport 2 seasons, so that's taking away our ability to have them try other things, to do basketballs on Saturday or whatever it may be. And I hate that for them, but I'm not willing to do more than one sport a season because we need that balance. Like there are two of them doing two completely different sports. Richard works a lot of nights during the week because he's in business development and is going to a lot of evening activities. So that means everything falls on me. I've had 2 jobs. Now I only have the one, but it's a very consuming one, trying to get something off the ground. And I still want to be able to have time for a social life and to travel and to be able to just be a family of 4 and have those evening dinners. So it's important to me that we only do one a season, but I think for you, you just have to figure out where your energy and capacity levels are and then make that decision for yourselves. Okay, the next thing related to kids' activity, for particularly for older kids, are they fully engaged? Like, are they independently practicing and trying to better themselves, or are they just going through the motions and showing up because it's what they do? Like, that's an indicator on whether or not it's something that's even worth continuing. And it could be that for some things you sunset it immediately, or that you put it on ice after the next season, or maybe you try something new and go back to it if you believe that, or they believe they actually missed it. And then the other thing that you can consider regarding your kids' activities is whether or not there is an opportunity for you to share the burden with other adults. So that could mean carpooling, like if you're going to a sports event and you're coming from the same school and going to this you're on the same team. Okay, well, can you take turns taking the kids from school to the practice? Or maybe it's even when you're at the practice, you take turns on who's staying and who's going. So that way somebody always has off. Like somebody gets to go run errands, somebody gets to go do something for themselves, somebody gets to go take a walk, whatever it may be, because the other parent is there keeping eyes on both the kids. I mean, there are ways that we can continue to expand and build our village that don't cost anything and can help tremendously surviving as a working parent. Okay, so now let's move to home management. I know this is something that weighs a lot of people down. So, regarding home management, meal planning tends to be the biggest dagger in your heart because it's something that you have to do every day. A lot of people struggle more emotionally with laundry because laundry is just so not fun. But at the end of the day, it doesn't consume you in the same ways as meal planning and meal prep because it's not having to happen every single day. So, as it relates to meal planning, think about whether or not you are making meals that are a little too elaborate for weeknights, maybe, or maybe you could simplify the menu so you have a handful of go-to meals or whatever it may be that just remove some of that friction. And if you need help with this, I will link this in the show notes. But episode 9 is on how to meal plan under 10 minutes. And I will also link again the outsourcing. We don't cook. Like, I really don't cook. I don't enjoy it, but I want to eat in because it's so unhealthy to eat out and it's expensive to eat out. So I pay somebody else to do the cooking for us. I know that's not for everybody. I know that is not something that other people prioritize spending their money on. I prioritize spending my money on buying back my time. But if it's something you've never considered, it's worth also listening to episode 28 on outsourcing just to be able to get an idea on whether or not it's something that you could do for yourself. Okay, moving on. The second thing regarding home management is carrying the weight of others, whether that be your partner, whether that be your kids. We just should not be doing it all on our own. So maybe there is an opportunity for you to give bigger pieces away. So, as an example, maybe your older kids can start doing their own laundry instead of you doing it for your own or something of that nature. And then last, think about all the errands that you're running that might be superfluous. So, as an example, are you going to Target every day? Like, could that be online, Amazon? Are you going to the grocery store every week? Could that be replaced with delivery? Are you going to Costco every week or every other week? Could you do a monthly haul instead? Oftentimes we just get in the habit of inertia where it's like, oh, this is what we do. We go to this practice, then we go to Costco, then we go home. But even cutting that out once every other week or something of that nature can make a big difference. Okay, now let's move on to social obligations. This is a big one because it does feel so personal and so guilty when you're doing things just out of the habit. So, as an example, is somebody saying, "Hey, let's grab coffee or lunch," and you feel guilty and you're like, "Yeah." So, as an example, I've had several people lately that have asked to let's get together for lunch. And it's not that I wouldn't mind having lunch with them. I'm sure we would have a delightful time. But right now, I am so underwater with the boys' camp schedule and trying to get this business more formally off the ground that I really have to be protective over my time. So the compromise is not that I don't take time with them because I do value the relationships, but I just can't value it in that capacity now. So I offer an alternative instead. I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm just really behind on life right now and need to prioritize other things because I'm gone so much. Instead, let's just do a talk. I'm going to camp to pick the boys up at 3:30 every day. Any chance you're available then for us to talk over phone? So that way I'm still honoring the importance of the relationship, but not actually letting that significant time of me getting ready, me driving, hanging out together, and then all of the reverse of that actually consuming more time on my calendar than it should. Okay, then next, are you hosting events that don't really need to be hosted? It's, the things you always did. So, as an example, maybe you've always hosted all of your neighbors for Halloween because everybody meets at your house. Well, it was fun. I'm not saying that they wouldn't love it and that you wouldn't love doing it again, but is this the time to just draw the line there and say, you know what? We'll see y'all out on the road. Like, everybody grab their roadie and we will meet at the end of the cul-de-sac and we will do it that way instead of you feeling like you need to host again. Okay, last, this is one of my favorites. It's the overcommitting on volunteering. And I don't mean to sound cold when I say that because I have done plenty and plenty and plenty of volunteering in my life. But it is just really hard to fit in at the stage of life I am in. My heart wants to say yes, but I just don't have the capacity for it. So I need to honor that boundary for myself. Nobody else is going to do it for me. I have to do it for myself. And if I can't do it for myself, then I know that I need to do it for the boys because I have gotten to see firsthand when we are doing camp after camp after camp after camp this summer, how much it weighs them down. They need that time off as much as I do. So if you have a hard time saying no, do it for your kids if you can't do it for yourself. And then if you wrap all of this up in a bow, particularly the social obligations, just question, are we continuing this commitment because it's on autopilot, like inertia? It's something we've always done in previous seasons, and it just doesn't work for us now. So a good example of that to bring it to life for me is church. And I'm not saying church isn't a priority to me, but we have been going to a church the past couple years where I really, really, really love the pastor a lot. But the time of the services is 8:30. And we can't do 8:30. Like Sunday is literally the only day I can sleep in. Like I'm willing to get up and set an alarm, but I just can't get up at 7 o'clock every single day to make sure that we're getting up and getting out the door for church. And I hate this, but we've made the decision to try other churches and go somewhere else just because it doesn't serve us for the season of life. Maybe if this business was more established and I wasn't having to spend my nights and weekends doing it, things would look different because right now I'm spending a lot of time and burning a lot of hours trying to build this. But for now, that's just not working for us. So, question for yourself whether or not you are continuing commitments on autopilot that might have worked for you in previous seasons, but don't now. So, last but not least, don't underestimate the impact of intentionality on your schedule. And that sounds obvious, like planning does. A lot of people are just like, cool, planning. I knew that. I didn't need an expert to tell me that I needed a plan. That's not what I mean. But intentionality is what ultimately gives you time freedom to do what it is you prioritize. And oftentimes we just kind of skate through life because we are not being intentional. And what that does is mean that we are wasting time on things that don't serve us or things that we don't value. So if you haven't read my top 10 time wasters, I will link this in the show notes. It is a free guide that will give you 10 things to think about and make sure that you don't have blind spots on how it is that you are spending your time. Okay, so to wrap this up, I will say that sometimes, even though I went through a very thorough and comprehensive list of the things that you should be auditing on your own calendar, sometimes they're just things you can't see because you're so close to it. And that's why I offer calendar audits to the women inside my coaching program, because sometimes it really just takes that person from the outside to be like, hey, why are you doing this way? For them to say, you know what? I don't know. That's a great question. It's just how it's always been done. And it started being done that way for a reason that made sense at the time that doesn't make sense anymore. So that one tweak, like that one small little thing, is often what it takes to unlock the time and stress freedom to or like help you get out of that grind each week. So, don't underestimate the power of having somebody else look at your schedule and question it. No, that's what I do. That's part of what I do. It's a lot of what I do, but it's part of what I do. Uh, the other thing too is I've noticed that oftentimes people know what they should be doing. They just struggle with the accountability to do it because new habits are really hard to make stick. But that's something I also offer my clients is I'm the person that's going to ask you like, "Hey, how did it go last week when you did that?" And you're going to want to be able to show up the following week and say, "Look what I did." And it made a big difference. It gave me that time freedom. It gave me that stress freedom I've been craving. And I just wish I would have done it sooner. So if you are interested, know that this is the kind of support that I offer the women in my program. But for now, that's a wrap. That's a wrap. And I appreciate you being here. Make sure you tune in next week. That's when we will be digesting part 3 of 3, where we are looking at your work calendar. Again, this is all in the interest of starting the school year off strong, not just for your kids, but for you too. And until next time, friends, if nobody's told you lately, you're doing a great job. You've got this, mama. Hey, friend, thanks for tuning in. Add the Life Management System podcast to your favorites so you don't miss my practical, snack-sized tips to help you manage the mental load and create a life that works for you. If we're not yet connected on Instagram, come say hi at Working Moms Movement for daily inspiration. And if this is your third or 10th time listening, it's time you bless the small business. Share this episode with another working mom in the thick of it and take 30 seconds to rate and review. It helps more than you know. And if you're ready to go from surviving to thriving and make your day-to-day actually sustainable, email me at Courtney@workingmomsmovement.com. Mention this podcast for 25% off my coaching services. I also speak and host workshops for organizations that want to support working parents from the inside out. Reach out if you think yours is ready. This has been the Life Management System, your shortcut to less chaos and more calm. And here's your reminder to keep managing your life instead of letting it manage you.